In this video, we are going to cover the top 3 reasons why your dog might be reactive, dominant, aggressive, violent, you name it, because we get an onslaught of messages, DMs, phone calls. There's probably one right now saying, Garrett, my dog is dominant. It's trying to hurt and kill people. How do I fix it? This video is going to help you determine what exactly is the source of the problem so that we can start fixing it together. First category we're going to talk about is actually the most prevalent, but also the most misunderstood, and that's actually under this overarching umbrella of what we call fear-based reactivity. All of it is based on the fact that your dog is actually, in fact, scared for their life. That's why you love them. At home, they're soft little buttercups. You go outside, they're gearing up for World War III because they don't know that your neighbor is friendly. They don't know that that other dog down the street, they've never met it before. They look at anyone outside of their pack as a threat to themselves and their pack. See, back to your old ways, right? Back to her old ways. She's like still trying to do the job, but that's a dog that's 80, 90, 100. And they actually don't want to fight. They're not looking for a fight. If they were looking for a fight, as some dogs are, we'll talk about those dogs later, they would get really quiet and they would wait till that dog got closer so they could pounce. Instead, they would love to do what we call flight as opposed to fight. That's how scared they are. But they can't flight because they know when they're on leash, they can't go anywhere. Hence why it's often called leash-based reactivity, meaning the dog's not even reactive until you hook it up to a leash. Once it knows there's nowhere to go, once it knows you're gonna continue to drag it down the street, once it knows that those people are gonna keep getting closer, they go, man, I don't wanna get in a fight. Man, that thing looks scary. And they actually teach this stuff on the internet. They say, if you're gonna walk down the street in the middle of the night and you're by yourself and you don't wanna get messed with, you wanna get robbed or worse, why don't you act like a lunatic?
If you're someone who's scared of walking alone at night, my advice to you is to be the crackhead that people fear, okay? None of this sweet, innocent shit.
If you act big, if you act bad, if you act scary, if you start talking to yourself, you start screaming at the top of your lungs, people want to leave you alone. That's the last thing they want to do is mess with you. If you act soft, if you act scared, they're going to come after you. And it's the same thing. Your dogs instinctually know this. So when they're walking down the street and they see whatever it is that's coming their way and they are scared, their thought process is, if I act big and I act bad and I act scary and I put on a big badass show, I won't have to get in a fight because I don't want to get into a fight. Let's move on to the next section and see what other issues there might be in play that make your dog, quote, aggressive or reactive. One of the most dangerous traits in a dog that we as dog owners and trainers need to be aware of is what we refer to as dominance drive. First case in point, Mr. Bishop here, a 15-month-old Presa Canario mix who just a few weeks ago bit the ever-loving shit out of his human mama. Now, when she wrote her email into us to describe the problem, she put forth something to the effect of the following. I've been with him since day one. At 8 weeks old, I've done nothing but feed him, love him, treat him, pet him, and give him anything and everything he's ever asked for. Why on earth would he ever bite his own human mama? First, notice what was missing from that email. Did she ever say she's corrected him? Did she ever say that she's put her foot down? Did she ever say that she's told him he was a bad dog and corrected misbehavior? Let's be clear, there's no way this dog's made it to 15 months old without making some mistake, being a little too pushy, being a little disobedient, left unchecked up until the point where there was a bone that he was chewing on. His mama recognized, oh man, he's got this weird look in his eye. I think he's resource guarding that bone. She recognized correctly. So she tried to get up from the situation and do exactly as I'm about to do now. And in that motion right there to get up off the couch, he sunk his teeth into her skin. Serious bite.
It happened that fast. Right. I just saw the look.
That's dominance. That's resource guarding. That's genetic. Where else does dominance rear its ugly head? Resource guarding food, resource guarding places in your house like a couch or your bed, a dog that refuses to get off and shows its teeth and says, why don't you get out of my room? Dog on dog aggression inside the same household. Don't be fooled though, this is not just in male dogs or intact dogs. It can also be in female dogs. In fact, some of the most dominant, dangerous dogs on the planet is an alpha female. Often not heard about, often not talked about. But understand, dominance doesn't apply to just males or just females. You could have a little Chihuahua with the dominance drive up to a level 10 that thinks it's the biggest, baddest dog on the block. We want to recognize this. We see so many dogs just across client to client to client that actually don't even have that big a dominance drive, but when there is no leadership, guidance, and structure and discipline from the owners in the household, the dogs fill that void this quickly. A dog with maybe a dominance drive of just a 2 or 3 out of 10 ends up ruling the house and acting like a little asshole. And it only takes one correction, one change of how you approach the situation to flip that whole situation on its head and finally regain control of your household. So this is completely visual what's about to happen. All right, it's party time. He sees him now. And I'm just gonna try to walk past. A little bit of growling there, barking. Good boy, huh? Good boy. But hopefully now you can at least start to recognize the difference between fear-based reactivity and a dominant dog. In the next one, we're going to talk about something completely different, which is rare, but also extremely dangerous.
Hey folks, if you're not aware, this is actually just the first video in a series dealing with aggressive and reactive dogs. So make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for follow-up future videos that we're gonna dive in deeper on this topic and hopefully help you solve your reactivity problems. Now, having said that, if you really wanna get to the source of the problem, I have the best solution available for you right now. It's available at DIYcanine.com and it's our brand new course called Dealing with Aggressive and Reactive Dogs, the entire playbook. It is a professional level course built for dog owners just like you and professionals alike to finally solve once and for all whatever you're dealing with: resource guarding, reactivity, fear-based reactivity, dominance issues, you name it. We dive in deep on every topic and more importantly, show you how to fix it.
One of the scariest categories that we're going to talk about now is dogs with what we refer to as misplaced prey drive. Well, we all should know what prey drive is. In fact, Thanos is a great example. It's a dog that loves to chase after tennis balls, or in Thanos's case, squirrels, lizards, deer, little bunny, anything wildlife he wants to chase after. But it's a super healthy drive for him. This is what we actually want to see in dogs, so that we can play fetch with them, we can play frisbee, and we can use all of that to our advantage. I think dogs with no prey drive are a little flat and boring, but prey drive taken to the extreme, or in the case of misplaced prey drive, is extremely scary. What am I talking about? Dogs that want to chase down cars and bite at tires, people on bicycles, other people's dogs and cats, and last but certainly not least, and the scariest of them all, is when a misplaced prey drive dog looks at little children and even babies that squeak and make all kinds of funny sounds in their crib or in the stroller as an item that they want to put in their mouth and shake and kill. We see misplaced prey drive a lot in certain breeds more than others, and it's not to pick on those breeds. I love pit bulls, but a lot of terrier type breeds, hunting type breeds, this is where we can find it, especially when it comes to dog on dog misplaced prey drive. It's in the genetics sometimes, because these dogs have been bred for centuries to want to fight and kill other dogs. Well, that drive has to come from somewhere, and sometimes it's harnessed through misplaced prey drive. Now, how do we recognize it? A dog with misplaced prey drive is going to be extremely similar or the exact same as what Thanos does when he sees something like a chicken or something he wants to chase. He's going to get low, he's going to get quiet, he might stalk, and he's target locked and will not leave his eyes off of it. And as he gets closer, he will pounce. Sometimes they have so much drive, and typically there is so much that they can't help themselves, and you will hear them sometimes whimpering a little bit, or even a sharp little bark right before they pounce, or even while they're chasing down the game. That's what it looks like. In contrast, say with a dog with dominance drive, those dogs are walking around like it's a men's physique contest. Big, bad, posturing, slow, methodical movements, never making a sound. Even through the dog fight itself, you might not hear a peep out of them through the entire fight, maybe a little bit of growling. Fear reactive dogs, again in contrast, are not getting low, are not staying quiet, and aren't whimpering lowly. They are screaming at the top of their lungs. They're barking like a banshee. Their hackles are up, they're getting big and bad. So now hopefully you can kind of contrast between those three and help determine if your dog is one of those very rare dogs that has misplaced prey drive. Now, even though it's rare, it's extremely dangerous. The good news is it's pretty predictable, and even the better news is I find it to be one of the easier issues to fix, which we can talk about in another video. The last section we need to talk about is nature versus nurture. Did your dog come pre-installed from the factory with some options that you didn't want? Whether that's crazy fear-based reactivity, a very low threshold for defensive drive, a really dominant dog, or a dog with misplaced prey drive. Do not be fooled that 50% of the equation is nature, in the DNA, in the genetics of the dog. There's nothing you can do about that other than maybe being smart about it when it comes to selecting the right breeder and the right puppy out of that litter. But once you have your puppy, that future is predetermined in their genetics. But that doesn't mean we have a bad dog. That just means we have to do our part with the other 50% of the equation, which is the nurture aspect. But before we go there, we're going to use Mr. Rocky here as an example. One of the things that we're discovering is in his genetics. He's a beautiful Rottweiler, 8-month-old male. He's sweet. He's actually very submissive with humans. Beautiful, and crazy food drive, loves to play, but we're already seeing one little thing we got to watch out for that just started rearing its head, because sometimes these genetic issues don't show up until a little bit later in life, when the hormones hit the system, as they're starting to hit his system now. Can you guess what it is? Dominance drive towards other male dogs. Is he a bad dog for that? No. Do we want to recognize that early Yeah. Do we want to do something about it? Absolutely. And so we need to come up with a nurture program, a training program that is catered to his individual personality, and recognizing that's one of his either flaws or attributes, however you want to look at it, so we can kind of shape what he ends up doing with all of that dominance drive. And so that's just one small example, and there are so many more that I cannot wait to share with you, but that's going to be in the next video. This video got long enough, so do yourself a favor, help us out, like, share, and subscribe. In the next video, we're going to dive in deep on the nurture aspect of this. In other words, what you can do as an owner or trainer to curb these behaviors, stop the BS, nurture them the right way so you never have to deal with this to begin with. So whether you just got a puppy or you've been dealing with reactivity and aggression issues for a while, you're going to want to stay tuned for this next video. I hope to see you there.